All right, so I think the for those of you watching on YouTube, it will be a black screen because I'm still we still have the streaming computer set up. Okay. We still have the streaming computer set up as a an API node, although the API node, yeah, is currently disabled. However, it's a good idea to keep it in this configuration once we make a certain acquisition. Wink, wink. Okay. Now, for those of you wondering like how that's going, believe it or not, that is actually not what I'm working on now. Yeah, so like I'm in fact working on I'm working on handling internally 3 questions. Okay. And for those of you who may or may not know, there are 3 platforms that the Learn Pyre plan kind of hinges on that are not the Phantom Opera. And do you guys know what they are? Okay, I'm going to tell you. One of them is Layer 0. Another one is the Axelar network. And the third one, arguably, is Dex Screener. Okay? And Layer 0 and Axelar, they are the bridges with which we bring people to Phantom Opera, right? As well as pretty much everywhere. And Dex Screener, the issue with Dex Screener is just that the price reference makes it impossible to price anything correctly. And believe it or not, this is obviously going to interrupt with our operations. So like with the contrast being with the context being we're not trying to steer anybody wrong with this project. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, as soon as you fuck something up, like in the onboarding, it's like the whole project can get fucked up. And we, in fact, experienced that ourselves, didn't we? Right? Like, we definitely have experienced our fair share of hiccups as far as that stuff is concerned. So the point being is, internally, yeah, exactly. So internally right now, I'm in fact, I'm writing something called the Trooper's First Article. And something internally that people have complained about is actually that we didn't do a good job of onboarding people into the Centered Circus. So this Trooper's First Article is actually kind of like it outlines kind of like some core values and philosophies concerning problem solving. Because what I actually don't want to do right now, like me personally, I don't want to personally be looking in to fixing Dex Screener or Axelar or Layer 0. However, what has been determined to be true is that I now need to teach people how to look into fixing things. Okay? So like, I'm basically building the instruction for that so I can distribute it to several other people, and then they'll be able to go and fix these things. They'll be able to go and learn the mechanism behind things. And I'll give you guys an example of what I mean. So like, let's say there's this scenario. What if Axelar Network stops supporting Phantom? And like, a lot of people have this question. I hate this question because it's entirely illiterate of what Axelar Network is, and it's asking a causality scenario without identifying what would even bring it into existence. So like, for example, an example of this would be like whether or not this is valid. To even analyze this, you must know what Axelar Network actually is. And I'll give you an example of why this matters. We call these things bridges, but this is a metaphor. They're not literally bridges. What they are is a mechanism which brings something from point A to point B. It can also bring it back. Well, let's think about it like this. Let's consider two machines. One is a train, which travels on railroad tracks. And the other is an aeroplane that flies through the sky. Okay? Now, would you guys agree that both a train on railroad tracks and a aeroplane in the sky, and I spelled it British just for you, Jeff, they're both perfectly capable of bringing something from point A to B and from point B to A. So then you would ask me, well, what if the engine fails? Does that make sense? And the reason why this question is so preposterous is because the fucking scenario you're going to be in is drastically now determined whether you are in a fucking plane or a fucking train. Does that make sense? Because if you're on a train, what's going to happen is the train is going to coast to a halt. It's going to slow, and then it'll eventually just stop. And you might still be in danger of getting struck by another train. However, for the most part, if this is the modern era, you would be able to radio the nearest station. They could literally send out another train to come get you. Like literally, they would just send a locomotive to come towards you. You could literally hook it up to the train as it is and literally just tow it to the destination. Like you might get delayed, but overall you're not in any real danger. However, on the other hand, do you guys know what happens when an airplane's engine fails? It's a vastly different scenario. It's just a vastly different scenario. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's a different scenario. So the point being is that we cannot possibly analyze for this scenario until we do what first? First, identify if we are on a fucking plane or on a fucking train. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? Allegorically? Do you get what I'm saying? Jeff, does this make sense with my accent? Does this make sense? And by the way, we could also be on a sailboat which has no engine at all. So if, like with the question, what if the Axelar network stops supporting Phantom? It's like, well, first of all, we need to figure out if the Axelar network is a fucking plane or a train or a sailboat. Because like your concern might not be applicable. Because you're asking, like, yeah. Well, Jeff, do you get what I'm saying? Like, they don't know the answer, but then also, it's like, what if X happens? The way you problem solve this is you ask, well, what is an example of something that would cause X? And like, if that question can't be fucking answered. And Jeff, I was using the example of Jormungandr, the world serpent, who whose body keeps the seas from emptying out. Right? So it's like, what if Jormungandr fumbles the ocean? Well, as it turns out, this is not how the ocean works. Right? So, like, it becomes this concern, like, what if this happens? Like, well, that's great, but, like, if we're going to have, like, an analysis of causality, surely you could identify what the mechanism would be that would cause the thing to fail. Because if we can't do that, like, you're basically just asking me if a mythological god from the Norse pantheon, do you guys get what I'm saying? Like allegorically, about airplanes and trains and fucking sailboats and Jormungandr, the world serpent. Yeah. Jeff, exactly. Exactly. Because, like, Jeff, that's not how that works. Yeah, the truth is, it's actually on the back of a giant tortoise. That's a Terry Pratchett reference. Okay? Or sorry, it's on the back of a disc. Sorry, I don't remember how the fuck that goes. It's on the back of a disc suspended by 4 elephants on top of a turtle. Yeah, I don't fucking remember, man. I don't remember at all. Like, I don't remember. But, like, the point is, like, that's not actually how it works. So, like, the fact of the matter is, like, Axelar Network might not be able to stop supporting Phantom because it might be a permanent and immutable smart contract, and all that smart contract is doing is tracking the balances between the chains, and there isn't any operational cost with maintaining it because the whole thing is operated by people sending gas to the Axelar network, which would then update it on all 3 chains. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, that's how in my head it could totally work. And you got to think about it. It's not like people ask, what if the Bitcoin network suddenly stops supporting people's wallets? Does that make sense? Because, like, nobody thinks that's what's going to happen. So, like, in order to analyze this, we have to know, like, the topology, aka the shape of what we're even talking about. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So anyways, internally, we are actually solving those 3 issues. We're solving the mysteries. Does that make sense? We are solving the mystery of the shape of Axelar network. We're solving the mystery of the topology of layer 0. And we're also going to solve, of the DEX screener price mismatch. Does that make sense? Like this right now, again, we okay. When Phantom, yes, 100%, exactly. And, like, the thing is, Jeff, like, this and this, and this, and this for the SC has to be, like, beneath standards. Because in my honest opinion, we have to be the ones, like, demystifying the Web3 space for other people. Like so these things, they are FAQs in a sense. And therefore, like, FAQs are sections where you kind of want to have these answers. So, like, what if Axelar Network stops supporting Phantom? It's like, well, first of all, we need to be able to say, like, with a degree of certainty, what would cause that, if it's even causable, if it's even, does that make sense to you guys? Because, again, it could always be nuclear war. Do you guys know what I mean? You could always have a nuclear bomb go off. Yeah, like, legitimately, like, and then what would cause that? Because also, think about this project. It's like, I'm not saying that we're going to get to peg from, just the power of friendship. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like Pyre as a project does not raise TWAPs through good vibes. Does that make sense? It's not the power of friendship. Yeah, sorry, Jeff. Yeah, sorry to break it to you like this, but it's not good vibes. It's not the power of friendship. It's not shit, man. It's not market timing, right? It's not the Zodiac. No offense to anybody who. It's fine. Zodiac's fine. Okay, but, like, it's none of those things. Like, it's legitimately, like, supply and demand. It's like those mechanisms. It is like what causes inflation, what causes deflation. How do we create scenarios where they're more likely to happen or less likely to happen, right? Like, we are designing in such a way. Like, so we can't also rely on infrastructure like Layer 0 or Axelar Network, which we would continue to use, and then not know what the fuck, what actually is going on under the hood. I'm not saying we need to know it like the team itself does, but, like, we really can't tolerate, like, these questions not being known and then nobody thinking that it's in our best interest to learn the answers. Like, so, for anyone who's asking, and I know that maybe you guys would care more about, like, when Phantom acquisition. Very soon, getting sooner all the time. I want to say, I was saying this internally earlier today, every delay that, like, this product has experienced has sort of come with it an opportunity for for raising the ceiling of how this ends. Does that make sense? Because when we designed, by the way, the original idea for Pyre was in July of 2022. So this is actually the 4-year mark. And you might be wondering, why the fuck anybody in Web3 would stick around for 4 years? Well, I'll be honest, the upside of this project continues to outpace the length of time that it takes to build it. Like, I don't know how else to describe that. Because again, we could make Pyre Phantom go 100x. We can make 2-ohm and 3-ohm and Z-ohm go 100x. But then also, if we acquire Phantom, and I think we will, we could also make Phantom go 5x or 10x or 20x, right? Maybe not immediately, but I think over time we definitely could. Because we're going to have the best, like Learn Pyre is going to be such a good on-ramp to Pyre on Phantom that it's going to kind of be a good on-ramp to Phantom. In which case, we will absolutely drive the value of Phantom as a coin up. We can also eventually get it decoupled from Sonic. Does that make sense to everybody? So anyways, internally, I've been working on this. I've been working on these 2 letters basically all last week. I've been working on a lot of stuff personally that when I was building that video for Sonic Labs, I kind of let these things, I kind of let these areas of my life get neglected. So I'm kind of just trying to take care of myself. I'm catching up on some of that. But anyways, everything's great. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, there's nothing bad happening. We legitimately stopped Phantom from dying. I don't know if people need to hear that. You know, like, is that okay? Does that make you guys happy or sad? Like, again, Phantom was inches away from dying, you know, recently. But I think people, I think people need an always like a looming anxiety to focus on. Maybe it makes them feel more alive. But like, yeah. The way that I prioritize projects, the way that I prioritize problems and right now this internal problem is way more severe than the December 30, the deadline for acquiring Phantom. I'll just be honest. Like, I'm going to solve this now and then immediately switch to acquiring Phantom. But, like, it'll only take, I don't know. It's not that much. I don't have to make a video for this. This is just writing PDFs. I can fucking do it. Like, I've been working on it for a week now. Among other personal things, but it's the outline is done. I want to say about 40% of the writing is done, etc., etc. But I hope this makes sense to everybody who's listening, either by recording or live. Does this make sense to you guys? Like, I really do insist. My vision and my dream for the Semi-Rich Circus, which again is being debuted through Pyre. It requires that internally we have like operating standards. We have like a troop member like fits a certain type of profile. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, absolutely. And like, I really injured myself by making that video. Like it was really surreal that it happened, but like that was such a fucking 3-month adventure, like really 2.5 months. So like the fact that they delayed it by 6 months, that's more than enough time. I need to solve what I think is the bigger problem now. And the thing about this is that it's going to allow more people in the circus to help. So I'm not doing literally everything. Because could I solve the Axelar mystery and the Layer Zero mystery and the Dexter mystery? Yes. But like, if I have to do everything, then why the fuck do I have an organization? Does that make sense? Like we're gonna need teamwork in the future. We're actually gonna need that more people have capabilities. And I kind of self-teach myself all this shit. So I think that what needs to be done is I need to teach others how to self-teach. Well, Jeff, fantastic. Okay, it'll be announced internally, so you'll be able to see that those documents when they come out. And yeah, by all means, Jeff, I will. Yeah, you can be on the team or something. I don't fucking know. Let me worry about that later. Yeah, about assigning it later. But like, yeah, Jeff, you can be on the layer 0 team if you'd like, or you can be the layer 0 guy, or something like that. And Fexer, I want to say you were DMing me about that stuff recently as well, and I appreciate you looking into it as well, because like it's not just like a Senurid Circus standard or even a Pyre standard or anything like that. Like as a human being, if you look into things and like understand them more intimately, like you're gonna get blindsided by less. It's like general risk management. Like you're able to get a lot of anxiety out of the way. You learn how to focus on the right things when you actually analyze the things in your midst. Like you can't Web3 has enough illiteracy. Web3 has enough stupidity. Like if we're doing anything that's in all areas of alignment, is we should be committed to reducing the stupidity of Web3. And that even comes from getting to PEG, because this is a project that allows for analysis to happen. You guys remember that, right? You're talking about fundamental analysis now for 7 years, right? Like it's all connected. And to be honest, like there's nothing wrong with the tech stack in Web3. Everything wrong now is like on the human layer. So anyways, okay. I hope that this stream was valuable. I will, I guess, have more concrete updates about when I begin talking to Matt Visser again, because we're not talking right now. I probably need to follow up with him, but I'm not going to do that until I solve this internal house problem, because it might not seem like it's that big of a deal, but this is one of those problems where if suddenly Pyre becomes a $1 billion project in a matter of weeks or months or any timeline, these problems will scale to be gigantic. Like they will scale just as big as our market caps. And we can't afford that, because it'll be that much more critical and that much more dangerous in that scenario. And Jeff, a lot of people don't know the whole idea that like, if you get more rich, all of your poor people problems scale at that same, they scale proportionally. So like a lot of the times where you end up with money and then you get reset, it's because you didn't realize you had a small problem until it scaled into a big one. And to be honest, I talk about this illiteracy in myself. I legitimately believed that Harry Ye knew he needed to build use cases for Tomb so that when the farms ended, it didn't crash to the floor. So when I saw him acquiring more projects, I assumed this was his plan. And then you know what I did next, Jeff? I then painted that pattern of assumption onto all the Tomb fork devs. Later, I learned that absolutely nobody had that intention, plan, or even literacy that they could. Does that make sense? Like, I legitimately believed, I misdiagnosed weakness for strength, right? But, like, you can also misdiagnose strength for weakness, too. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So, like this misdiagnosis thing is, it can absolutely, by the way, like, that misdiagnosis costed me 6 figures at a minimum, right? So this costed me 6 figures at a minimum. So the point being is that, like, if you can solve your problems when you're small, this is the cheapest time to solve that problem. Yep. Solve your problems when they are the least expensive to solve. Okay, like as a philosophy here. Anyways, so like I understand everybody is itching to find out if we're acquiring Phantom. The answer is yes, but I have not actually pitched that to Matt Visser yet. My sincere apologies, but don't worry, we will soon. In the meanwhile, I am solving an internal house thing, and it will be useful because it'll make the Centered Circus better at delivering the results that everybody who is listening to this stream is invested in. Does that make sense? Are there any questions? Are there any questions from anybody here in the audience today? Okay, well that lull of absolutely nothing makes me then believe that there are no questions. Hey, thank you, Jeff.